Right. Hi there, it's Gabriele Nicolet from Speechkids, and today we are with Christine Stevens of Sleep Solutions by Christine, and she is going to walk us through some things to consider when we have siblings. So we're calling this one Siblings and Sleep. So Christine, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So what are some things that parents need to consider or want to be considering when they are adding a baby to the family? What can happen with sleep?
Well, in addition to the parents probably losing a little bit of sleep with the new baby, absolutely the older child is going to go through a little bit of a change. It's a big change for the entire family. So you have maybe just the first child is used to having parents as, the center of their world. And now all of a sudden they have to share it. You can talk about the new baby all day long. You can show, look, it's the baby in mommy's tummy. Yeah. Until that baby is actually in front of said child, not going to hit home. That's when they'll go, okay, who is this?
And even then, you might get a sweet spot of like 2 weeks where they're like, oh, this is interesting. And then when they realize baby is staying, that's when it really hits the fan, right?
That's right. When you realize that, maybe mommy's having to spend a lot more time with the new baby versus, the first child. And so you get a little bit of, this is where the sibling rivalry starts to come in. And a lot of times this can also affect sleep. That's one of those dreaded sleep regressions that everybody worries about, and how to handle it. So definitely, best thing to do, you're bringing the new baby home, try to keep your kids' original sleep schedule. If they're on a typical schedule now, they're typically used to getting to bed 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. If they're getting to bed later than that, make sure it's earlier. But 7:30, 8 o'clock, get them in bed, how you normally do. Try to get your child as much sleep as possible, because they're going to be, the disruption in the house. They may have some other caregivers around, maybe some grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends coming to see the new baby. And things are just going to be a little bit, upset for a little while.
And so, would you say to have the same parent be doing bedtime routine as before, or is it okay for kids to just be put to bed by anybody?
It should be that your child can be put to bed by anybody. And I would, try to spend a little extra time with your child during the day, just some one-on-one, especially with mom. Mom's usually trying to take care of the new baby. So, maybe while the baby's taking a nap, maybe someone else can take the baby for a little while and spend just 15 to 20 minutes just focusing on that child. Give them some one-on-one time. So they also feel like they're not being just completely left behind with the new baby.
That time in is super important when a sibling is coming in. It's super important all the time, but even more so when there's something competing for mom's attention.
Absolutely. It's an adjustment period, and it can take anywhere from a few weeks. It can take, maybe 2, maybe months, that until, the other child really gets used to the idea that, this little one isn't going anywhere.
So let's fast forward a few months. Let's assume baby's sleeping in mom and dad's room, or in the parents' room, and older child is sleeping in their own room. A lot of families like to or need to have their children share a bedroom once baby gets out of the parents' room. And I think actually the American Pediatric Association now recommends the first year that baby sleep. I know.
They say, yes, they do recommend up to about the first year, but really I tell parents it is when you are ready. Everybody has a different situation. Mom may be going back to work, and you're, especially in the DC area where parents are getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get ready to go and schlep their way into the city. Then you might want to consider moving baby a little bit earlier, because maybe the bathroom noise is waking up the baby in the middle, at 5 o'clock in the morning, or you really know babies make a lot of noise when they sleep. And so some parents will want to move their child to another room, and that's totally fine. I usually say once baby's kind of done with night feedings is usually about the best time to do it, but it's really whenever you as a parent are ready to move your child.
Okay, and we will talk about when is best to eliminate night feedings in another broadcast, in another interview, because that is a whole other can of worms, isn't it? So, okay, baby's ready to move out. Sibling has a room that they've been occupying by themselves, And lots of parents want their kids or need their kids to share a room. So what are some things that parents want to be thinking about before they make the decision to have their children share a room, or in preparation to share a room because they're only living in a place where there's 2 bedrooms?
Yeah, my supervisor's showing up to say hi.
Oh, hello.
She's like, no, we're going to stay over here. Yes, so you've got, you want to consider having your children share a room, and for whatever reason that is, maybe you live in a 2-bedroom place. That's fine. Or you just choose because you think you want your kids to have that experience of sharing a room with a sibling. Okay. The big thing is you don't have to. Unless you were really stuck in that situation, you do not have to have your kids share in the same room.
So it's not better to have your kids share a room or not?
I've actually had some clients where I've told them to split their children up. They had plenty of space to do it. They put them in the same room because they thought, oh, this might be a great experience. Unfortunately, one child was sleeping better than the other. The other one was kind of bouncing around the house in the middle of the night, waking up the other child, and now both of them have their sleep affected. So that situation maybe not be the best one. But if you're considering putting your kids in the same room, first thing is make sure that your child or both of them have their own sleep space. This is not the opportunity to let's put them both in the same bed and see how this works out. No, make sure your children have their own sleep space. Whether one's in a bed, the other one is in a crib, they're both in a bed, whatever that is, make sure they have their own individual sleep spaces. Second thing, and just like any other, whether you have one child in the room or 2 or whatever, make sure the room is dark, because dark means sleep, light means stay awake.
Super hard during daylight savings time.
Can be, but there's some really, really easy ways to do it. Number 1, blackout curtains. And I mean blackout curtains, not room darkening, blackout curtains. That's why when you stay in a hotel, they have those really great thick curtains. But I have also found that even as a small travel hack, painter's tape and a blanket. You got to darken up a room, works like a charm. So
no purchase required.
No purchase required usually. Cover up that window. Make that room as dark as you possibly can make it. Okay. So yeah, each child has their own sleep space. It's dark. White noise can be a very useful tool. A lot of parents will choose to use it, and that's great. It doesn't need to be ridiculously loud, but it's helping to drown out some of the other noises in the house or the street, whatever.
And as a hearing professional, please don't make it too loud or put it too close to your children's ears all 12 hours that they're sleeping, hopefully. Because it can be a problem. So white noise machine, not too loud, away from like the immediate sleep area.
You still want to be able to talk over it. You don't want to have to scream over it, and put it in between your child and the noise that you're blocking out. Yeah. So if it's blocking out the noise from a hallway, for instance, then put it near the door. But yes, it does not need to be right next to your child. The idea is that they're not hearing that white noise all night long, right next to their head. So yeah, so make the room dark. And then one of the other things too, usually the first child's usually a toddler by the time the second one shows up. A really useful thing to use are those great color changing clocks that let a child know when it's actually time to get up in the morning, because maybe the other child, maybe the baby, maybe the older child gets up a little bit earlier than the other child in the morning. So you have a silent way, because if you pick the super simple ones, okay to wake is my favorite one just because it's so simple. Okay. But it's literally the light is off, the light is on. You want your child to get up at 7 in the morning, light turns on. Oh, it's time to get up. If it's not, go back to bed.
Okay. So, and that's a whole other thing we're going to talk about too. We could talk for days on sleep, couldn't we?
Oh, yes, we could. I could. Absolutely.
Okay. So keeping older or younger, probably older child quiet while everybody is sleeping. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Anything else parents need to be thinking about before they jump in?
No, I say just go ahead, and if you're going to do it, just say, okay, we're going to go ahead and move everybody in. One night, the second child is in the other room. Next night, boom, they're in their crib, pack and play, whatever their sleep space is, and they're in that room that night.
Perfect. And I want to message this too, by giving parents a script of what they can say and when they can say it, which is no more than, you just said like the day of. You're going to talk about this tonight. we are
We're
going to do
this.
something new. And you're going to speak about it authoritatively. Authoritatively, with authority. Because your kids will take their cues from you. And if you're feeling confident about the fact that this is going to be the new arrangement, then they will take their confidence from you. If you're feeling wishy-washy, and I'm sure you coach parents through this all the time, Christine, if you're feeling at all wishy-washy about your arrangement, that's going to come through, and you are going to get this next scenario, which we're going to paint for you, which is older kid wakes up in the middle of the night and is screaming bloody murder and possibly waking up younger sibling, or vice versa, honestly. What do we do when one kid is up crying and disturbing the sleep of the other child? And let's assume, just for argument's sake, that this is a 2-bedroom situation where nobody's got anywhere to go.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Okay. Well, if it's been a short term, the scenario is, let's back up. Scenario is you have 2 kids sleeping in the same room. Older child is probably somewhere between 2-3 years and older. The other one's probably the baby. Older child starts waking up the younger one. Well, first thing I would do is, if it happens one night, okay. Mm-hmm. Things happen. Kids wake up all the time. When we say a child sleeps through the night, it doesn't mean that they'll never wake up again. It just means that, hey, they are able to put themselves back to sleep in the middle of the night, because they wake up just like you and I do, except, we kind of open one eye, look at the clock and think, oh goodness, we get to go back to sleep for a little while. Hold blankets up, tell our spouse to stop snoring, and roll over and go back to sleep.
Yep.
Now, if your child's used to having something done to them in order to fall asleep, and we call those props, okay? Props can be anything. Props can be rocking, bouncing, car rides,
pacifiers.
It can be, I've had some clients where the kid literally had to play with mommy or daddy's hair to go to sleep. That was their prop. Okay. So parents can be the prop too. So that's okay. But they may look for that in the middle of the night. And so sometimes, yes, if you have a child that's been completely sleeping, everything's great, you bring home the new sibling, or you just move them around, you change their sleep environment. It takes them some time to get used to it. So expect when you move that child in, the second child in, for a couple of days, maybe up to a week, you're going to have some sleep disruptions. It's because something's different. It takes a little while for all of us to get used to something new.
And that's where being prepared, I think, and the messaging and the confidence comes in, right? Because on night 4, when you're like, oh man, what is going on? What have we done? You've got the persistence and the confidence to say, nope, this is how it is. This is okay. And you've got some tools in your tool belt. And if you don't have them, you call somebody like Christine to come and give you more tools to use to get through those difficult times. Yeah.
So if it just happens the one night, okay, not a big deal. Go check on your child, get them back to sleep, see what what they need. And they may just need a little reassurance. They just woke up and maybe had a bad dream or something. Get them back to sleep. But if it starts turning into more of a pattern, you start seeing things 2, 3, 4 nights in a row, this is starting to turn into a pattern. Well, maybe it might be time to make some changes and figure out really what is going on. Is it that you always have to lay down with your child in order to get them to sleep? Well, that's what they're looking for in the middle of the night. Or they're used to sleeping with you. Now there's a new baby around and you don't want them sleeping. It's a little bit of a change. Yeah. So get them back to sleep, and hopefully it's a short-term thing. If it's still lasting and it's still been going on longer than a week and nothing else has changed, then give me a call and we will figure out what in the world is going on and why.
And do you find that those, I'm sure that there's sort of a pick list of things that are happening, but those are solutions that you're generating based on the information that you're gathering from families, right? There's no one size fits all, if this, then that.
Yeah. Every client I work with, I do a full sleep evaluation. I look at all those different factors that affect a child's sleep. Everything from how much they're sleeping now, whether they're napping. I look at nutrition. I look at activity levels. I look at how they're falling asleep now. and all those things that are going on that will absolutely affect a child's sleep, so that we can really pinpoint what is the reason, whether it's been a short term or it's been a longer term thing. I've had a lot of parents tell me that, it was great. They loved laying down with their child as they fell asleep at night. It was a really sweet time to be able to sit there and chat with them. And that was great. But then the new baby came along and they kind of started going, well, this isn't quite working anymore, because now I have to get the other child to bed, and, now I'm stuck, and now I have one parent in the bedroom, the other one's taking care of it, and the parents don't get to see each other at all. Yeah. And so the situation just no longer is working.
And, it's so interesting. There are so many things like that in parenthood where what used to work then doesn't work now. And that's okay. That's like the name of the game, actually, right? It's like, as soon as you've mastered one thing, something else is going to change. And so, like, part of it is really just accepting that and knowing, okay, that was then. I had one child. Now I've got two, and the game is different. And so how I behave is different, and how my children behave is different, and how they sleep and where they sleep is different.
And it's okay to ask for help, whether you ask your best friend, whether you go search on the internet at 2:00 in the morning of why my kid's not sleeping, or you call someone like me, a sleep consultant, to help figure out why and what to do next. There's nothing wrong with saying that, but trying to do something over and over again, doing the same thing and expecting a different result, not going to happen. Not going to happen.
So for people who have never considered hiring a sleep consultant, what questions should they be asking, or how do they find you? Like, walk me through how we get to you.
Sure. I mean, probably the biggest source of clients that I find are really just searching for me through the internet. They are looking for, why won't my child sleep? How? And they stumble across me. But when you're looking around, there's sleep consultants everywhere. They're all over the place now. 5 years ago, I didn't know what one was. Now they seem to be everywhere. So when you're talking to a potential sleep consultant, someone that you want, any professional that you want to work with, really make sure that you are asking a lot of questions. You want to make sure that your sleep consultant, and I do this too, is that I like to get a really good sense of what is going on. So I'm going to ask a lot of questions of the parents. And we probably spend the first 15 minutes of the phone call doing that. Tell me what is going on now. How did we get to this point? How long has it been going on? What have you been doing? What have you tried? These are the questions that your sleep consultant should be asking you. They should also be asking you kind of what you want to get to. So you want to make sure that that your values align with your sleep consultant, or whomever you would like to work with. Ask them about their methods. Ask them about, how do you plan on getting my child to sleep? And if you have someone who says, well, you're just going to have to wait until we work together, maybe that's not the best. Your sleep consultant should be able to explain to you, maybe not down to the level of detail of here's exactly what to do right now, but they should be able to explain the different methods that are out there and be able to talk with you about if you've tried any certain methods. They should be well-versed in how that one works and be able to say, okay, here's how we can do things a little bit differently. Maybe that method didn't work. I have something else for you. So I use a lot of different methods that are out there. And I've, picked the best ones out of all those to help my families make sure that they get their kids sleeping at night. So talk about methods. Talk about things like experience. You can have the newest sleep consultant walk out on the street and anyone can call themselves a sleep consultant.
So it's not regulated.
It is not regulated, no. So absolutely talk with your potential sleep consultant about their experience. Where did you get your training from? How did you find out about this? I've met sleep consultants that, no kidding, said, I read a couple of books. Okay, maybe that's not the person I want working with me and telling me what to do with my child. This is my kid.
Yeah.
Ask about their experience and how they've gotten their training.
Yeah.
Because that can also be very helpful with learning, making sure that, again, your personalities. Do you like the person you're talking to?
Right.
Maybe someone's a little more direct. I'd like to use, I'm a little more laid back. I like to use some of the humor. I make change, but I also like to try to have some fun with it too. And really show parents, this is this is what fun is making sure that everybody's getting plenty of sleep and we have fun doing it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The fit is crucial, right?
It is. Make sure that you like the person you're talking to. And if you really feel that connection, then maybe that is the person. And you get what you pay for. You know, you can go online and absolutely download a sleep plan, and they're pretty cheap, but you're not going to get any help. And you're probably not going to, you may or may not get to whatever your goals are. So look at things like what's included in the package of who you're working with. You know, what is that person offering you? I work with clients for 3 weeks at a minimum.
And why do you do that?
I find that that's a really good amount of time, in my experience, to take care of most sleep issues. So usually within the first week, we're making all those different changes. It's change. There's a lot of ups and downs, but you know, we're setting new habits. During the second week, we're kind of doing some more, you know, just small tweaking, making sure that we have the right amount of sleep. Do we have the right sleep schedule? Are we doing it right? Do we have the right nap schedule? How is all of that working? And then by the third week, I am teaching clients about how to keep the great sleep going for the long term. So usually by the end of the second week, even the toddlers, even the older kids are really starting to sleep really well by then. Usually a lot quicker, but by the end of the second week, by that third week, I'm teaching you how to keep your great sleep going for the long term. So we talk a lot about, you know, what to do when your child gets sick. How do you travel with your child so that, you know, maybe when they're not feeling so great, that they can sleep as well as they can. The parents can sleep as well as they can. But then once the main part of that illness is over, you get back from your trip, maybe you hit a developmental milestone and now baby's rolling out, how to handle those little things so that you can get to the other side. And then as soon as all of that kind of passes, that you're able to get right back on the old way of doing things, get right back on your old routine. You don't miss a beat.
Sleep is one of those things that is so important. And so I just would encourage anybody who's watching, if you are not getting good sleep, or if your children are not getting good sleep, particularly if they're sharing a room, or you've got a toddler who is experiencing a sleep disturbance over time because of that new sibling, reach out, find a sleep consultant that you like, and figure that out. Because when people start sleeping better, and Christine, I'm doing your marketing for you here, but when people sleep better, everything is better. As somebody who really suffers from a lack of sleep, and particularly when my children were younger, I know this not getting sleep is a bad thing, and getting enough sleep will change your life.
You have no idea. I was that mom. And every time I talk to a sleep deprived parent that says, I just want to get some sleep, I know what that feels like. I have been there. I have been the one who literally survived on 3 to 4 hours of sleep at night, was trying to work 50 to 60 hours a week, dropping my kid off at daycare in the morning, seeing her around 5:30 again, coming home, just praying that she would go to sleep at night, only to get her in there, ninja my way out of the room, get myself ready to go to bed, and bang, she would be awake again. And this rigmarole, this craziness went on for months. And I got to the point where I was in a very dark place and really was questioning my own sanity, because that's what sleep deprivation will really do, some crazy stuff to you. And so I finally talked to a friend of mine one day and said, I got to do something different. This is no longer working. I can't sustain this. I'm a mess. I'm going to get fired from my job. I am going to mess something up. I don't want to do that because I'm so exhausted and I don't know what to do. And he said, I have somebody who can help you.
And that was your sleep consultant. Amazing.
That is I worked with that other sleep consultant, and it was the best thing ever. And I went, oh my gosh, my kid really can sleep at night. It is glorious. And so that's why I do what I do now.
It's amazing. Christine, thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate it.
I love it. Anytime.
Right. Take care.